So what's up, my daughters? It's your mother, Omi Star, and welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to redo a video that I had did in the past, which was 5 things that I hate about being transgendered. I wanted to redo this video because when I first made that video, I was like a baby tranny. Like, I made that video, I don't even think I was transitioning like medically for like a year at that point. I wanted to do it now that I've been transitioning for like about 7 years, to like give you guys like a little update on things I basically hate about being trans. Like, some of these things, like, you just need a little bit of like life experience to get like an outlook on. The first thing that I hate about being trans is tucking. I hate tucking. Like, since I've transitioned, I feel like well, to be honest, I've been tucking since I was like in middle school, like since I was like really young. But honestly, as I've gotten older, like, and actually like transitioned and became a girl, one of the most annoying thing about being transgender is having to tuck your private part back. Like, the main reason is simply just because it's painful. Like, imagine having to tuck your penis back and having to sit on it physically all day. Does that sound like it hurt? Because it does. It hurts a lot, and 9 times out of 10 it stops me from like really wanting to go outside, because I don't feel like I could be outside for a long period of time and physically enjoy myself, because not for nothing, like, my tuck is hurting. Your tuck having the possibility of slipping. Is it showing? Just worrying about, is your tuck flat enough? I just don't like the process of doing it. It's just uncomfortable. It makes me feel like, oh my gosh, like, the moments when I feel like my tuck is showing, like, I feel like that is like the most embarrassing thing ever, because it's just like, it's ruining the illusion. And then 2, I don't like the feeling. Like, it's just people be wondering why trannies be grumpy all day. But just imagine how you would feel if you had to sit on your dick for about 8 to 10 hours in a day. You'd be like happy go lucky go jolly? No, I don't think you would. So, but also, let's not get into if you actually tape tuck. Tape tucking is the worst, but it gives you the best results when it comes to like flatness. But when you tape tuck, it's like, it's horrible when you actually go outside and you tape tuck, because like, say like if you're going out and you drink anything and you're outside and you just so happen to have to pee or something, tape tucking is gonna be the worst, because not for nothing, peeling that tape off your skin hurts like so badly. And if you peel it off too much, you could actually peel your skin off and cut yourself, and, you know, cause like scars and stuff just from taping. Like, it hurts a lot. It's uncomfortable. You're limited to what you do outside. I remember when I used to go out to the club when I was younger and I used to tape tuck. It used to be so uncomfortable because, like, I don't know about you, but when I drink, like, I have to pee like constantly. So imagine having to rip tape off your genitals 24/7 just to have to pee. It's not really like an enjoyable experience, like, at all. So that's the first thing that I hate about being trans. The second thing that I hate about being trans is the process of actually telling men that I'm transgender. And I know what you're gonna say before this is actually gonna lead into my next point. Just because of the different reactions that you get from different men. Like, one of the reactions you either get when, nah nigga, you gay as fuck, da 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 da, and I'm not with that shit. Or you get the respectful, like, nah, I'm good, you know. Or you get the boy that be like, well, are you a throat goat? You get head, or they do some ignorant shit like that. Or you get the boy who will want to date you but want to be on some DL type of time. One thing I noticed that when I was a little bit more clockable I attracted men who were trans attracted because I looked more visibly trans. But when you don't look visibly trans all the time, you attract men who don't be knowing that you're trans, but they like look at the situation as, oh, you're real enough to be experimented with. And I don't really like that feeling because like, I want to date too. Like, I don't want to just be like an experiment and get fucked by a nigga just because he thinks I'm pretty. Not to say that all the time that you get bad reactions, because sometimes you like, well, because sometimes you do get good reactions. You do get men who like be like, oh, I don't care, like I see you as a woman, and that's great. But it's like just the toss of the dice, it's just be like so like nerve-wracking. But when I was younger, I used to wait a little bit longer to tell guys that I was trans, simply because I was scared to, and I used to feel like, oh, I want him to get to know me first before judging me. And not for nothing, like, as gotten older, I realized that that never really worked out anyway because I'm still single. It's always better just to be upfront and tell guys, not just for their benefit. Like, yes, I guess anybody who's not trans attracted would appreciate you telling them that you're trans upfront. But it's also for your physical, like, emotional being and mental health. Like, it's better to, for me, it's better to tell a guy that you just met that you have no physical, like, no emotional connection with, and just tell them and have them choose from there, just because like you don't have any you don't have any emotional connection to them. It's not going to hurt as much if they say no, rather than you waiting a month to tell a boy, and you know, after like I don't know about y'all, but it takes me like all of like 30 seconds to like fall in love with a boy. Like, I really be falling at first sight sometimes. So I like to just be upfront and tell them, just because like if you're not with it, I could just be like, cool, ain't no love lost, you know, I ain't gonna even hate you. You could probably hate me, you could think I'm a nigga or whatever, but it's be cool. Like, you know, you could think whatever you want. 9 times out of 10, that's what plays on your insecurity when you feel like you could have pulled the guy, but the factor of being trans is the only thing that's stopping it. Like, you know, does that make sense? I'm kind of stuttering. So the third thing that I hate about being trans is seeking men's validation. So I feel like the main thing that I've noticed about myself since the beginning of my transition, and this could just be this is just honestly personal to me, and this is just me being like honest and transparent, is I do seek men's validation. And it's not any type of man, heterosexual men validation, just because like it's just different things that I've noticed becoming like, I've noticed that a lot of the times why I rush to get surgery is to, I guess, not please a man, but it's to be validated by the more heterosexual, normal presenting type of man. Like, I noticed that when I was more like clockable and trans, I noticed that not only guys treated me differently, but the world treated me differently altogether. Like, I feel like when you're more clockable, the world, it's really men, because like 9 times out of 10, like I don't think like we really care about what biological women really think of us, because not a lot of trans girls are attracted to biological women, but it's really when it comes down to men. I noticed that I tend to care more because, like, I don't want to say like I'm a pick me, because I'm when it comes down to me seeking validation, it also comes down to like safety as well. I feel like I also rushed my transition and got a whole bunch of surgeries when I was really, really young, just because I didn't like the public perception that I got from men when I was younger. Like, I feel like when I was younger and it came to getting, when I didn't have surgeries and I was just like, you know, a baby tranny, I used to get clocked in public, and I used to have the most like dramatic clocks where like people would be like, oh, like people would be like with their friends and screaming like, oh, that's a nigga, and nobody ever came to my defense. Like, but I did notice, like, once I became realer, I noticed that like when people tend to bother me in public, or if like I don't feel like I get clocked as much anymore, but when people do come and clock me, when people do tend to clock me in public, I notice that men do come to my defense a little bit more, just because they find me attractive. And that's just comes down to my body do such dramatic changes, and 9 times out of 10 it doesn't change how that boy is ultimately going to see you. I had to learn through my transition, like, if a man is not comfortable within himself, there's no amount of surgery or no amount of body alterations that you could do to yourself that's ever going to make him see you differently or treat you differently or treat you other than just a secret. Like, you really, I wish I would have known earlier that I should have focused more of the personality of the type of men I'm dating, just than trying to appease men that I was just attracted to so they could pick me. Like, you know, I was being a pick me. So the fourth thing that I hate about being trans is the trans agenda that is always like being pushed online. Like, I feel like growing up, when I seen transgender as is someone who completely does not identify as the gender that they were assigned at birth. Do everything possible to physically appear on the outside to how they feel on the inside. But I feel like in 2024, I don't know what it is about, like, everybody is inclusive and everything just needs a label, but I personally don't consider the internet kind of only tends to highlight the negatives within the transgender community. They don't ever tend to highlight the people who actually put full force everything into their transition to physically blend into society. Or they usually tend to highlight people who like are who are more like, they would take a person who just started transitioning, still physically appears as the gender that they were born as, and slap that as the label in the face and propaganda of what trans really is. And they use these arguments to say, okay, like, do we need these people in the bathrooms and everything just to like hate trans people? And yeah, they use all these arguments to push a certain agenda to bash the existence of trans people, when 9 times out of 10, the most of the trans girls that I know fully appear as women. Like, the media tends to take the worst of the worst and put that as the propaganda in the face of trans people, and then they love to, like, I guess, push the non-binary agenda and say this is what trans is. I mean, non-binary is a form of being transgender, but from the era of where I grew up, I feel like you can't call yourself trans if you're not doing everything in your physical power to come across and present as the gender that you want to appear as. Like, you can't sit here, I don't personally agree with saying like, oh, you want to be called a woman, but then you're trans with a full, you are a trans girl with a full beard and still masculine presented, and then you want the world to call you a female. It just doesn't make logical sense to me. Why do you want to communicate yourself as a headache and then come across as a headache and then expect the world to just follow suit with that? Like, I feel like it comes, I mean, in my eyes, being trans is a form of like a mental illness per se, because it's normalized now, but you can't say it's normal to just feel like you're a different gender that you were assigned at birth. But I feel like with the media and I feel like a lot of people can became more gender fluid and starts to see certain things as okay. They just give it the label as trans, and it's really, you're just hyper gay. Like, that's just what I consider it as. Like, or you're just a cross-dresser, or or you know, there's nothing wrong with those things either, but I don't think those things are necessarily trans. But I feel like the media likes to you know, group us all into one thing and labels all of us into one thing, and not it gives us a bad name, because I personally believe that like everybody's a representation of themselves. Okay, so I'm moving on because I'm not really trying to get canceled, but I hope you guys understand what I was saying. So the last thing that I personally hate about being trans is the fact that I can't have biological kids. Like, so when I started transitioning when I was really young, and like kind of right before I went through male puberty, so in order for me to have kids, you will have to like get off hormones and kind of completely detransition for the possibility of having kids. A lot of the things that I've done to my body is like completely irreversible. And I feel like when I was younger, I was in a mind state of like, oh, I don't want kids. I don't give a fuck about no damn kids. But as I've gotten older, sometimes like I do be thinking like, damn, I wish that I did like save some of my DNA in the lab for the potential of having kids one day in the future, because I feel like everybody do want their own biological kids in a sense, but I feel like I'm too far along within my transition for that to be physically like a possibility. And the reason why I have kids, I really be feeling like I want kids now at this point in my life versus when I was younger, is that I feel like I've personally made a lot of mistakes in my life, and I made a lot of mistakes in my life due to trauma, and I feel like I wanted to basically raise like a perfect version of myself, because all the things that I've learned within a life lesson, I feel like I could have learned as a child if I had the proper guidance too. And I would want to instill all those lessons into my child just to, you know, make a better version of me. For one day they could grow into their own awesome type of person, whoever they choose to be in life. But I feel like I hate the fact that like my options now towards having kids is like adopting, or the kid only being biologically related to the father or you know, a male figure. But I mean, that's not necessarily wrong, but I don't feel like, you know, it would be nice if I was able to have my own biological kids. Like so I do kind of personally think like putting kids hormones at a very young age. Not that it could be detrimental, because it's not the end of the world. It's not like I'm sitting here crying like, oh my gosh, I'm never gonna have kids, because I'm not even at a space in my life right now where I want kids. But I feel like I am more open-minded now to realize that, like, you know, how you know when I get 40 years old, I wouldn't want a little mini me, like a family, or just create something in this life that's gonna genuinely love me for me, you know, because I brought him or her into this life. But I wouldn't know now. It's just, you know, one of those what if things that I'm just gonna have to wonder. Life's just full of what ifs. We just, you know, have to deal with the deck of cards that were presented. It maybe it wasn't meant for me to have kids, and that's why I went the route the way that I did, because bitch, if I would have had kids young, I would have been the worst parent, like the worst parent. So number 6 is going to be a little bit of a bonus, but I wanted to say the 6th and final thing that I personally hate about being transgender is the fucking girls like that you meet. Like, it's not 9 times out of 10, can I just be honest, like, trans girls be like some of the weirdest creatures like ever. Like, honestly, like, I don't know, like what I've noticed within, not even with just within the trans scene, the trans community, but within the gay community as a whole, is a lot of gay people are a lot of LGBT people are very like hurt human beings, and they operate on hurt, like they act like hurt human beings. And I feel like, you know, you always, like, you know, as you grow, you can see it more clearly, and you learn to give these people the grace. But it's just I feel like within, like, me being friends with trans people, I feel like it comes with like people who probably would have never been friends to begin with, besides having this one thing in common, which is, one, just being trans, and 2, it brings on a lot of like I feel like there's a lot of competitiveness and a lot of jealousy within amongst the girls and amongst each other. I don't really know what brings it on. I can say a lot of the issues that I have realized within the girls and why they act so weird is it all stems from competing over a man. And but that's a story for another day. When I feel like a lot of trans women are very resentful that they're not accepted into the society, and I feel like they just simply operate like hurt people. And you just gotta, one thing I've noticed within the LGBT community and just in life in general, because there's a lot of evil entities out in this world, but I've noticed, like, within the community, you gotta be very selective and very careful with who you choose to associate yourself with, or who you choose to call your friend, because a lot of these people aren't your friend. Y'all are just trauma bonding on the fact that y'all both are fucking trannies. A lot of these people, if given the proper chance, would probably end up stabbing you in the back or showing you that you should have never, they were someone to never be trusted and associated yourself with within the beginning. Simply as that. So yeah, that's really all I had to say about that. I hope you guys enjoyed another fresh face video from your mother, Omi Star. Yes, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe. Also, don't forget to check out all my social media that's going to be linked down below. And I'm going to check you guys out in my next video. Bye, guys.